Okay. I think we've got it. Alright, this is the beginning of part 2, and this is my wife, Liesl Schwendy. She's the shop teacher. She doesn't want to be in the video, so we're going to let her go. So, this next part, I'm actually building the pedestal for this frame to quote-unquote sit on when it's on the wall. And essentially what I've done here, I just wanted to set this up and do a short little snippet about the corners. So I've got my 45-degree angle cut here, and I've cut the length of this bottom piece after I put it on that shaper tool from part 1. And now I've got to measure, hence my little tape here, I've got to measure out beyond my edge. So I'm going to go 3/4 of an inch past that point in order to create that nice corner. And what I'm going to do is use a miter saw, and we're going to do that now. Okay, so this is our miter saw. I've got it set up at a 45-degree angle. On the one side that you just saw that meets the corner is a nice 45. This side is flat, and I need to cut the corner back. So I've measured out at the base of the pedestal, and 3/4 of an inch beyond the corner of the pedestal, I've made my mark, and I'm going to place it on the miter saw. Okay, so we're back at the frame, and I'm probably providing a ridiculous amount of information, but I've got my cut that goes out 45 degrees, and it's beyond. So now I'm going to cut a tiny little piece, and I have to measure from the back of the frame up to that corner so that it'll meet, and I'll go back and recut a small piece on the miter to complete that. So we're looking at 2 3/8 inches. Okay, so just to show a little bit about fitment, I've got my piece that's 2 3/8 that I just cut, and this is the moment of truth. We'll find out whether or not that's an accurate cut. Well, looks like we're doing that again. So as promised, good, bad, and the ugly. Went back, made another piece, and that'll work. We'll sand that down, glue it in, sand it some more. Good to go. So, cuts are made. Time to glue this thing in and tack it down. Again, same thing as my molding before. In part 1, I'm just going to take and do like the mustard on a hot dog technique to the back of my trim.
Make it.
And I'm going to get this set in. I will not, contrary to the request of my wife, lick the piece of wood or the glue. So we're going to get these lined up, and then I'm going to get my corners matched up, and I'll get them glued in as well. Now for this, I don't have to worry about using the clamps that I had used on the larger bottom plate of the pedestal. I'm just going to get some glue and get them set in. And then we're going to walk quickly through tacking them in with brad nails. Glued up, placed in. And at this point I want to be very careful about trying to get my corners as close to each other as possible. In the end, that's going to help me use less wood filler to fill my gaps. And if you're working with something that needs to be stained, obviously you need to be even more conscientious about your cuts, but because we're painting this, I know I can give myself a little bit of breathing space. Okay, so I want to point something out again about hand tools. You could tack these in very carefully with, this is, you probably can't even see it, it's the size of a pin. Tiny little brad nail, and then a little hammer. This is like a little ball peen brad hammer. Probably got that wrong, didn't I? I, however, have procured larger muscle.
I don't know what do you mean larger muscle?
So now this completes the base or pedestal of this particular frame. I don't think I'm going to go any further with this because, again, I'm not an expert in woodworking. This last piece that I need to do to complete this build is the top of this tabernacle frame. This is called the frieze, and together with the molding, it's called the entablature. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take this larger piece of molding and I'll cut and mount it in the same way that I did on my base piece, and then when we come back I'll be working on yet another piece to finish the top off. The tops of these frames usually have a little bit more flair to them, and I haven't decided exactly what that design is going to look like. Probably something pretty simple and rounded off again.